Hey everybody, this is Dr. Chris Dost. Welcome to my series on reading Biblical Hebrew. This is the first video in a mini-series on reading Exodus chapter 3. So tonight we're just going to deal with the first verse of Exodus chapter 3. We'll look at it in Biblia Hebraica Stuttgartensia. We'll look at it in the Leningrad Codex, which is the manuscript that is the foundation for BHS and BHQ, something that I'll talk about in some other videos. We'll look at the Dead Sea Scrolls. We might even look at the Aramaic Targums a little bit. And we'll pay some attention to the Masora as well. All right, so let's get started. So I'm going to bring up the text here of Exodus 3:1. And let's start by just reading it in Hebrew. I'm going to read it once fast, then we'll read it slower, and then we will read it fast again. So, ומשה היה רואה את צאן יתרו חותנו כהן מדיין וינהג את הצאן אחר המדבר ויבוא אל הר האלוהים חורבה. ומשה היה רואה את צאן יתרו חותנו כהן מדיין וינהג את הצאן אחר המדבר ויבוא אל הר האלוהים חורבה. And one more time fast. ומשה היה רואה את צאן יתרו חותנו כהן מדיין וינהג את הצאן אחר המדבר ויבוא אל הר האלוהים חורבה. Okay, so let's jump into the textual analysis here. I'm going to zoom in a little bit so we'll make the words as easy to read as possible. So Exodus 3:1 begins a new story. And in fact, if we quickly go over to the manuscript and look at the Leningrad Codex here, I just want to point something out. So bear with me one second as I zoom in on the manuscript here. So let's go over. And you can see here, hopefully, that we have the words U Moshe Haya Roeh here, the beginning of the passage that we just read. And if we look over in the margin, we will see that there is a Seder here. And this is a division from the land of Israel where the Bible is broken up into, or in this case, the Torah is broken up into portions stretching out over 3 years. And so this is where the text begins. So the rabbis recognize that, and the Masoretes recognize that this is where a new cycle starts here. And we can see that with the Samech there. Okay, so let's go back to the electronic edition. And here we have... Sorry, bringing up the wrong window here. So we have Moshe. Now, some people will say literally this means and Moses. Means and, Moshe means Moses. And while does often mean and in the Hebrew Bible, and Moshe, of course, means Moses, we have to understand, and it's very important as we go through this series of reading Hebrew, that there is no such thing as a word literally meaning anything. The whole idea of literal meaning, well, it just doesn't exist. And what people mean when they use that more often than not, even if they're not aware of it, is that when they say a word literally means something, what they're talking about, what they're saying is that this word most frequently means, or the best attested meaning of this word is thus and such. But the idea that any word literally means something, is just an incorrect notion. Now, it's important to interpret words in light of their context, and there's different types of context. Here I want to consider what we'd call the syntactic context. And so when we begin a passage in Hebrew with followed by a noun or some sort of substantive, then followed by the verb, oftentimes u should be translated as now, not now in the sense of time, meaning right now, but circumstantially, as if to say, all right, shifting gears, now Moses, da 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 da. And that is how I would translate it here. So we'd say, now Moses, haya roe. So what is haya roe? Well, haya, elementary Hebrew students should know that this is a third masculine singular, suffix conjugation form of the root hey yud hey, technically hey yud yud, but we'll get into that some other time. So for now, we'll just say hey yud hey. In the kal stem, the basic stem, the G stem, whatever you prefer to call it. And it's followed by a G stem participle, a kal participle in the masculine singular form of the verb meaning to shepherd. Now, when you have the verb haya followed by this use of u circumstantially is also something that happens in Palestinian Arabic, for instance. So for those out there who are familiar with Arabic dialects, spoken Arabic dialects, I'm more familiar with the Palestinian dialect, you will notice that the word that typically means and is used in this way as well, not only in Hebrew, but in Arabic as well. All right, but moving on. So now Moses used to shepherd the flock of Jethro, his father-in-law. Now, Jethro may originally have been a title meaning something like His Excellency. The O at the end of Yitro could be a third masculine singular pronominal suffix, meaning his. And the root yud tav resh means something, like abundance, or His Excellency. So this could be an honorific title, but it probably came to be a name, just like was the case with Abraham. And then chotno is in apposition, meaning it describes the same, it describes Jethro in this case. And chotno has the third masculine singular pronominal suffix, attached to the word choten. And I think I have this, so here we go. So choten, and you probably can't see the whole entry. I would have to zoom out here, but you can see that choten means father-in-law. It occurs a lot in Exodus and Numbers and so on and so forth. Judges as well. And the word is choten, of course. The letter tsere, the vowel here, is reduced because we add a suffix. And so instead of having choteno, it reduces to chotno. Okay, so Umoshe haya roe et son Yitro. Now Moses used to shepherd the flock of Jethro, chotno, his father-in-law. And then we have another phrase that's in apposition here, Kohen Midian. Okay, the priest of Midian. And we know that Kohen would have to be analyzed here as a masculine singular, masculine singular noun that is in the construct state. Okay, so Kohen Midian, the priest of Midian. So we have three, appositional phrases or names: Yitro, Jethro, Chotno, his father-in-law, Kohen Midian. They all refer to the same person. All right, so now the narrative picks up here. We have a vav consecutive, so when the verb begins the sentence, oftentimes the narrative is continuing on. We're moving on here. So vayinhag. This is a basic stem, a call stem of the root nun he gimel, third masculine singular prefix. The yud is a third masculine singular prefix there. As you can see, we get these pop-ups here. And it's a vav consecutive. So it has that vav plus patach plus dagesh there. So, and he drove, we could say, and he drove et hatzon, the flock. Notice that the direct object, tzon, is definite. It has the article, and it has all three components, the he, the patach, and the dagesh. And because it's a definite direct object, it's preceded by the definite direct object marker et. Okay, so, and he drove the flock achar hamidbar, achar hamidbar. Okay, you can translate it behind the wilderness. I think a lot of translations have to the west of the wilderness. You know, we're not going to worry about the nuances here. Okay, and the narrative then continues. It no text critical differences. We're going to see in other verses that there are differences between the Leningrad Codex and the Dead Sea Scrolls, but for now, there's really no issue to report. Okay, so let's see. Now let's go over. I want to go over. Let's shift gears for a minute and go over to the. We're going to go over to the Leningrad Codex, and I just want to point out a couple of things here for you. Umoshe occurs 7 times in the Bible, but there's a qualification. It actually occurs more than 7 times, but it occurs only 7 times, and what we have here are the letters Resh, Aleph, Shin. Resh, Aleph, Shin, with a dot over it, indicating that this is abbreviated. The word is Rosh, which means the head of. It's a construct noun. Rosh, the head of what? And here we have below it the letters Pe, Samech, Vav, which is short for Pasuk. Pasuk. So Umoshe occurs 7 times at the beginning of a verse. 7 times at the beginning of a verse in the Bible. And all you need 7 occurrences. And what are the 7 occurrences? Well, unfortunately, if you don't read modern Hebrew, you're going to have to work at this. So Shmot, which means Exodus, Gimel, Aleph. Exodus 3:1, chapter 3 and verse 1. The 2 lines here means that we're in Exodus, this time 7:7. Exodus 11, because Yud is 10, Aleph is 1. Exodus 11:10, Exodus 19:3, and so on. And so the 7 occurrences of Umoshe at the beginning of a verse are listed here for us. Now, where would we find this in the manuscript? Well, it's in a Masora Magna list in Divrei Hayamim, which is Chronicles. That's what the Dalet and the Hay is here. Divrei Hayamim. Let's see if I can highlight that for you. Aleph. First, Divrei Hayamim Aleph. First Chronicles, Kaf Gimel, 23:14. So if we go to First Chronicles 23:14 in the manuscript, all right, and I'm going to bring that up again here. So let's transition over, and I'm going to need to just shrink this for a second. So we're going to zoom out for a second here, and we're going to go all the way over to First Chronicles. And so we're really going to have to zoom up here. I don't know why the search feature isn't working here. Bear with me one second. Okay, so for some reason, usually it's much easier to drag this. Okay, there we go. Okay. All right, so we're going to go over into First Chronicles, and we said that it was First Chronicles 23:14. Okay, so just bear with me. It takes a little bit to scroll here. First Chronicles 23. Okay, so we're in the right place. Okay, so we're in the right place now. All right, so let's see. I don't know if you can see this here. Let me zoom over. So in the manuscript, you can see that in the PDF we have the range of verses included here. So 1 Chronicles 22:19, and that should say 23:28. There we go. And now the Masora Magna on any page of the manuscript is going to be in the upper margins, and in the lower margins, or the header and the footer, we could say. And so if we zoom in at the bottom of the page, look what we find here. Okay. All right, I'm going to have to really zoom in there, and I know it's going to be hard to read. It says Umoshe, Zion, right? So we've got Umoshe, Zion. So that means and Moses occurs 7 times, Rosh Pasuk, at the head of a verse. And all of the catchphrases or catchphrases and catchwords from the 7 instances where this occurs, this phrase occurs in the Bible, they're all listed there for us. And so this is what Reich and Dotan are referring to. Okay, now, I realize at this point that I have given some people way more information than they desire here, and that's okay. The purpose of this series is really to read Hebrew, but at the outset, I want to make sure that you're at least aware of some of the tools that are available for studying the Hebrew, not only in the printed editions, but actually in the manuscripts. And if you have questions about this, feel free to send them to me through the website, and I would be happy to answer them in subsequent videos. Well, I think I've gone on long enough for tonight. We've gotten through Exodus 3:1. We didn't get to the Targums tonight, but we'll do that for next time. Maybe we'll look at the Septuagint as well. Please send me your comments through the website, and please send other people this way, direct them to the website so that they can be avail themselves of these videos. All right. Thank you so much, everybody. I look forward to seeing you next time. All right. Take care. Bye-bye. To view the entire video, please be sure to go to my website, www.learnbiblicallanguages.com. www.learnbiblicallanguages.com. All right. We'll see you next time, everybody.